Unbelievable. Just absolutely unbelievable. What a game. And I understand we're going to break it down. Yes, you are tuned in to the Knicks versus Thunder post-game show. I am your host, Troy, and you could be on any stream right now, but you chose to join this one, and I really do appreciate that. Chat gang, I see you. Shout out to you guys. Knicks Nation, I appreciate you guys as well, too. If you're in here and you're in this stream, if you could do me a favor, please go ahead and hit that like button. It helps get this video in the algorithm so everybody can see it and hear me break down tonight's game because we have a lot to discuss. But before I get there as well, too, guys, you know I am on a goal. We are on a mission here to try to reach 25,000 subscribers, and we could really use your support. If you enjoy daily Knicks content like this, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button because it could really support all the great content that we're creating for you. But let's get to tonight's game. As I said to start it off, I mean, just unbelievable. We could say it was a tale of two halves, but really it was one moment, one shift in the game that changed everything. And in my opinion, that shift came in the fourth quarter, where the Oklahoma City Thunder were starting to cut into the Knicks lead again, getting it down to a 6-point lead. And then it's when they got it down to a 4-point lead, the way they got it down to a 4-point lead, J-Dub running down J-Dub running down the lane, right down the middle center, and dunking that ball as hard as he could. Once he did that, the arena erupted. The energy came back into that building. And once it did, it never left. That crowd became a very clutch six-man for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And even though SGA had a game and he did score his points, he did get others involved, you can't take away from his greatness. I thought the Knicks played a very phenomenal game and did a great job on him, especially early. In the second quarter, that was our quarter. That was where our wings were going off. If you want to define the first half for the Knicks, I call it Wingstop. In the second half, you can call it Jalen Williams squared because it was both of those guys going off and it was another player. Of course, another player has to do it to us, a player that nobody expected. Aaron Wiggins, who goes off in the fourth because he's open multiple times from three, and that is the game. The way the Oklahoma City Thunder defended, the way they went against the Knicks, but the way they scored, how open they were from three, and the way they shot, that made all the difference. If you were hoping for a playoff intense game, something with finals type of atmosphere, you got that tonight. With OKC in New York, yes, you could be mad at certain plays, certain players, certain things that we did down the stretch. But if you watch this game from start to finish, you absolutely were entertained. I was entertained, but I was also very upset because there was one thing that I saw at the end of the game that could not be ignored. 5 bench points for the Knicks to OKC's 46. That's not a joke. That's a stat from tonight's game. You want to talk about one of the main reasons we lost? It's because we do not utilize our bench, and our starters are getting run so tired that when they're out there, they do not have enough left in the tank to give us what we need to close the game and get the victory. We're going to break down exactly what happened in tonight's game, how the Knicks were this close, but why we couldn't pull off the victory, and now why our winning streak has been snapped. We're going to talk about all of those things today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you have notifications turned on. So anytime we drop new content, you get notified. And now, let's get started. The Knicks drop a competitive game against Oklahoma City. New York's bench scoring is absolutely exposed. When it's 5 to 46 points, you're going to be exposed. When the minutes, in terms of how they're spread out, between the starters and the bench are so different, so crazy different, that it makes you wonder why we even have a bench in the first place. Yes, there's a major problem, and we're going to talk about that. But we first have to acknowledge the team that we were going up against. The Knicks went up against the best NBA defense that the league has to offer in Oklahoma City. And you saw why. They forced turnovers. And even though the Knicks did not turn the ball over a lot, it felt like we did. Because every time we turned that ball over, they ran. They hit a three. They went inside the paint. They made something happen. They basically scored every single time we turned the ball over. That's the type of team that they are. They are so good on defense. They are such a good turnover team in terms of protecting the ball and forcing turnovers as well. But another thing that you saw, sometimes like a mirror, it was like what the Knicks were doing to OKC, OKC was doing to the Knicks. Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, we can talk about them and what they did. But Jalen Brunson specifically, what he was doing inside the paint, he was breaking down the defense and then scoring, or breaking down the defense and getting others involved. What was SGA doing? Breaking down the defense and getting others involved. Only difference with them is they were getting others involved at the three-point line, and they were knocking down those threes at an alarming rate. And we saw it. We're going to get to the stat, but I believe it was close to 50% from three. And the Knicks were near 28% from three. When you're not hitting your three-point shots, and they're forcing turnovers, and they're playing that level of defense where you can't breathe, it's stifling at times, given the level of players that they have on that team and the roster. And because they actually utilize their depth, they use their bench. So that way, when their starters get back into the game, they're not tired. They actually have some energy left in their legs to contribute and help close out the game. And even though, like I said, the Knicks did a very good job in that first half, I think, against SGA. In the first quarter, SGA got his points. He went off. The Knicks tried to keep the game close and kept it even. It was a back and forth affair. In the second quarter, the Knicks dropped the hammer on OKC. They scored, I think, 36 or 35 plus points in that quarter, holding OKC to only 21 points. That's how you have to do it against the league's best That's how you have to do it against the league's best defense. And they did it with Wingstop. Mikal Bridges was near unstoppable, scoring points, getting defensive stops. In that first half, everybody saw it. One of my favorite plays from the game, Mikal Bridges blocks SGA's shot. And then right after that, Josh Hart blocks his shot as well, too. One of the greatest moments from this game. And even though we lost, you have to look at plays like that because it shows you going toe-to-toe with OKC, the Knicks can actually get it done. There were moments in this game that the Knicks could have taken over. We could have won this game, but our offense got stagnant in that fourth quarter. We were not able to score. We let them take the momentum. The crowd became a factor. We could never get back into the game. We were this close against the best defensive NBA team in the league. They play great offense as well, too. And even though they don't shoot the three ball extremely well, any team in the league, if they're open, they're going to shoot the three ball. And that's exactly what we allowed to happen. If we take that away, if we defend the three even this much better, this game swings in our direction and we win. Keep that in mind because it's important when we're talking about a game against the best team in the league. One of the best teams in the NBA right now. Certainly the best team in the Western Conference. That's something that we have to talk about. But it's also something important to acknowledge that we were this close. And we could not close it out because of what they were doing against New York. The way they played Karl-Anthony Towns in that first half, they frustrated him. Jalen Brunson, they tried to double team him, triple team him, take him out of the game. Credit to Brunson, though. He still found a way to be impactful. The way he was passing the ball, the way we were cutting in that first half, and a lot in that third quarter as well, too, when we got the lead back up to 10 after OKC started that quarter in the third, by dropping, I think, 8 straight points and cutting into our lead. The Knicks responded extremely well, but it was because of Jalen Brunson. Cam Payne was getting taken advantage of. He did not do anything for New York tonight. That's why he didn't play a lot of minutes, because when he was in the game, defensively, he was getting taken advantage of. When Jalen came back into the game, what was he doing? He was passing the ball, getting others involved. And that is exactly why the Knicks had to play him so many minutes, because he was making things happen for New York. And we needed that. We needed that play. We were this close because of Brunson, but because of tired legs, because we couldn't go forward anymore, because we played our starters so many minutes. At the end of the day, at the end of the game, when it was on the line and we were this close, we couldn't get it done. The Knicks could not make a bucket. We could not make a shot, and OKC ran through us. They scored in bunches, and that was the end of the game right there. As you see here, New York 107, OKC 117. They did it their thing against the Knicks. They snapped our win streak. Now they go to 14 straight wins, and we now have to start over. If you look here at the game leaders, you see Mikal Bridges, 24 points, 10 of 19 from the field, and then OKC's SGA. You can see why he's an MVP type of candidate. 33 points, 12 of 26 from the field, and 7 of 7 from the free throw line. You want to know why people are saying that SGA was contained? It's because he gave you 33 points and he had to shoot 26 times in order to get those 33 points. That's why everybody's saying SGA was played very well. And one of the players that was on him was OG Anunoby. Mikal was on him as well, too. Josh Hart was on him as well, too. They had to throw a litany of players at SGA because it's not easy to contain a player like him. On a daily basis, he is cooking the league. So what he's doing on this night against the Knicks, as we're seeing here, it's nothing different against what he does against the league normally on a night-to-night basis. But let's take a look at the quarter-to-quarter breakdown here and see what the Knicks did against Oklahoma City. Give me a second, guys, as I drink a little bit of water here because I'm losing my voice after all the screaming that I did today. I can't believe where we are right now, man. So as you can see here, quarter-to-quarter breakdown, 30-33 in the first quarter. Why I want to mention that first quarter really quickly is because normally in the first quarter, what I'm noticing from the Knicks is it sometimes they're feeling out, at least in the first 6 minutes, the next team that they're facing off against. During Oklahoma City, this game, they didn't do that. They had a game plan to start off, and they committed to that. And that's why that first quarter was so compelling, was so back and forth. I love that first quarter. I'm going to watch that first quarter again after this post game because that's how good that game was. I don't like the end result, but the competitive nature of that game, how back and forth it went, I love that. Let's keep it going here. Going into that second quarter, as you can see, 36-21. Like I said, the Knicks absolutely did what they needed to do in that second quarter. They dropped the hammer on OKC, and it was because of Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Jalen Brunson also got his points, and I thought Karl-Anthony Towns did a little bit more in terms of his rebounding there, but he really didn't score. Karl-Anthony Towns, to end that half, only, I think, had 6 points because they bothered him and frustrated him that much, and they were playing him physical, sometimes fouling him. But no call. We're going to get to the no call when we talk about the fourth quarter in a second. But let's go to our moderator, Yuri, who donated to the show, and he's in the super chats right now. Shout out to Yuri. He says $2 with the super chat here. Shout out to you, my guy. I appreciate you. He says, despite the L, the Knicks did very well regardless. I got to agree with that, Yuri. I can't deny that. Like I said before, I loved this game. I love the competitive nature of this game. But I hate the fact that we were this close. We could have won this game, and we didn't. And one of the main reasons we didn't is because we refuse to utilize our bench. Like I said, we're going to get to that. Breaking down the quarters again, as we see here. That third quarter, the Knicks scoring 22 points. Oklahoma City scoring, let me go back there. Oklahoma City scoring 26 points in that third. So 22 points for the Knicks in that third quarter, 26 points for the Thunder. That was the day end right there. That was the beginning of the end for New York. We saw Oklahoma City respond. We saw them go off, and we saw them start to make a run. Especially ending that quarter, they started to gain the momentum. And then clearly in the fourth quarter, they took that momentum and they ran with it. 37 points dropped on our heads in the fourth quarter, and they hold us to 19 points. Yes, hold us to 19 points because the level of defense they were playing, they were blocking shots. They were blocking shots. They were bothering us inside. They were stealing the ball, forcing turnovers, making sure they were getting into the passing lane. And when they were doing that, all you could see was a blur because they were pushing it up the court, and who had the ball in their hands? Either J-Dub, who went off, or SGA, who was a one-man wrecking crew. When he had the ball in his hands and they were pushing the ball up, it was almost unstoppable. He's either in the paint scoring easily, or he's in the paint getting contact and going to the line, because that's what he was doing all night long. Stopping SGA, containing SGA, it's easy to write that on paper, but to actually do it, it's very difficult. Not because of the way he can score. It's the way he can play make and get others involved. The number of three-point shots that were wide open because of him, because of the level of impact and attention that he gets. That's why they were so open, because you can't leave SGA. You leave SGA, he's going to create a huge problem. So you want to live with the three, but you can't live with the three against OKC when they're shooting it so lights out against New York tonight. You have to realize that when you're in the game. New York did not do that in that fourth quarter. We got taken advantage of, and the numbers clearly speak for themselves. We saw it here. But if you want to talk about certain players, you want to talk about two players that the Knicks had to rely on tonight, we're going to talk about a few of them. Now, one player here you're going to look at and say, why are we talking about him? He really didn't come alive until that second half. Well, for me, Karl-Anthony Towns and his rebounding, that was something that was very important in that first half that wasn't acknowledged enough. Karl-Anthony Towns tonight, 17 points, 22 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 7 of 13 from the field, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. And again, according to Politics and Sports News on the app X, they say what I say. The Knicks need a bench. You see with OG Anunoby tonight as well, too. 20 points, 7 of 13 from the field, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, an amazing lockdown defense at times on SGA, and a number of Thunder players as well, too. We have to give him credit. We have to give him credit. He was not only good on offense, he was great on defense for New York as well. And that's nothing new for OG Anunoby. You've come to expect that night in and night out, OG is always going to give you impressive defense, but the offensive times is shaky. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. I would be remiss if I did not mention what had me hold my breath, what felt like for maybe 100 seconds. OG Anunoby falling on, of course, the elbow that he has surgery on. When I tell you guys that my face, my jaw nearly drops to the floor when he's rolling on the floor, clearly in pain, clutching his ribs, and then grabs the elbow, grabs it, touches the elbow. You see him flexing the elbow. Anything with OG Anunoby and that surgically repaired elbow, any pain at all, it's going to concern me. We have a back-to-back tomorrow. We're playing the Bulls tomorrow. What's his status? I don't know. I have no idea. But you know what? OG and that elbow, they seem to love inflammation. And every time there's even a little bit of contact to it, sometimes it gets inflamed. I hope that doesn't happen. He was able to still play the game, still compete at a high level, I thought, and he was still trying to score. So hopefully it's not anything too serious, but we have to mention it. When he fell and I saw that play, my heart nearly jumped out of my chest. The last thing New York needs right now is another injury. especially to a player to the level of OG. OG changes New York defensively. Could you imagine what the games look like if you take OG Anunoby away? If OG Anunoby's not in the game anymore? Protect OG at all cost. If he needs to rest tomorrow, rest him tomorrow. I would rather protect him and keep him out one game than risk our season. Because if OG is out, that's our season. That's how impactful and important he is to this Knicks team, to our defense. And you saw it tonight when he was going against SGA, when he was going against other players on that Oklahoma City bench and against some of their starters as well. The way he was switching, the level of defense that he gives the Knicks, and everybody else follows. Again, the Knicks may have not utilized their bench, but the players that were there, Mikal Bridges especially, Wingstop, they were doing exactly what they needed to do. Before we continue to break down the game, we have another super chat from Corey Lee that I must get to. Corey Lee says with a $5 super chat, the captain needs to stop killing us. He made it about himself. Josh Hart needed to step up. Shout out to Corey Lee, a member, and of course, a great super chat as well, too. I really appreciate that. Each and every one of those donations goes to the channel and helps us improve as well. So thank you so much. I do agree with your comment as well to a certain extent with regards to Jalen Brunson and regards to him getting regarding him getting other players involved, especially in that fourth quarter. I thought that Jalen was looking for his shot entirely too often in that fourth, and that's where our offense got stagnant. Now, it wasn't only Jalen. Jalen wasn't the only player doing that. Karl-Anthony Towns did it at times. I even saw Mikal Bridges do it. I even saw Mikal Bridges do it often as well, and a couple of times down the stretch. So I'm not saying it's only Jalen. It's really a team effort. All of the guys on the team have moments where they do it, and the offense does get stagnant. The Knicks need to pass the ball. Ball movement, cutting, player movement, that's how the Knicks win games, along with the defense. And when we get to the team stats and we talk about how many team assists the Knicks had, you'll understand why the Knicks lost this game. Because again, it's another game where their team assist is just not good enough. Not good enough against a team like OKC. Really not good enough against really any team. It doesn't work like that. You need to be better. You need to not only pass the ball, but make sure you trust the pass when you're making it. When the offense gets stagnant, that's even more of a reason why you pass the ball. But they were not doing that in the fourth quarter. And we saw a lot of the starters in that fourth. I don't know if it was just me. Maybe you guys saw it too. But a couple of times in the fourth, I saw a lot of tired legs. Let's call it what it is. The Knicks starters played so many minutes that to close out that game, they didn't have it in the tank. They didn't have enough. They did not have enough left. They could not close out OKC, and we had to drop that game. And I'll tell you this, I promise you, if the Knicks were able to rest their starters even 7 additional minutes, maybe we're talking about a different game. Maybe we're talking about a different outcome. Maybe the game is even closer than it was right now. But we'll never know. And why? Because the Knicks have a major problem with their bench. Let's take a look at what that major problem looks like. NBA fewest bench points per game. 19.9. 19.9. That's legitimately one player average in the league. And our bench averages that. 19.9. Let's keep it going. Bench points tonight against OKC. OKC tonight. 46 bench points to the Knicks 5 bench points. According to James L. Edwards, the Knicks starters all played 40 minutes. And I'm told that is the first time since 2013 that a Knicks team has done that in a regulation game. The Warriors did that last year and were the last NBA team to do so. Let's take a look at what those stats look like then. Give me a second here to make sure this all looks right. There we go. A little bit better there. Okay. Let's take a look at what that actually looks like, looking at the stats here. We're going to break down each and every one of these stats here, but look at the minutes. Just look at the minutes. How are you not upset looking at those minutes? 41 for Mikal Bridges. 43 for OG Anunoby. Even after falling on his surgically repaired elbow. Karl-Anthony Towns, 42 minutes. Jalen Brunson, 40 minutes. Josh Hart, 44 minutes. 40 plus minutes for the entire starting lineup. Whether you're a Tom Thibodeau fan, whether you love him, whether you hate him, whether you're in between, there is no justification for that. None. Zero. None whatsoever. He played significantly. 5 starters, 40 plus minutes. The bench, 8 minutes for Achua, 8 minutes for Campaign, 14 minutes for Landry Shamet, DNP for Matt Ryan, DNP for Jacob Toppin, DNP for Jericho Sims, DNP for Miles McBride, DNP for Tyler Kolek, even though Miles McBride was out because of his left hamstring, so we can include him out of that. But still, Tyler Kolek, DNP, coach's decision. So you're telling me we couldn't have utilized any of those players off the bench? You're telling me I'm the only one that sees the Knicks starters, tired legs out there, playing 40-plus minutes against an aggressive, intense OKC team who knew the Knicks were tired and were running against us each and every possession that they could, taking advantage of exactly what everybody knew was the issue, that the Knicks were tired? Did anybody have to really look at the box score to know the Knicks were tired and that's what OKC was doing, attacking the Knicks each and every possession, and we couldn't keep up? We couldn't. We tried, but we couldn't. And on defense, I'll give you this. On defense, they played aggressive, but something else on defense. Can somebody call a foul? Can anybody call a foul? Because I don't say it a lot. Look at the post games. I almost never talk about refereeing, but the officiating. Jalen Brunson gets hip tossed, hip bumped, whatever you want to call it, by Isaiah Hartenstein. There is no call. Karl-Anthony Towns barely comes into contact with SGA driving, and it's a foul. And I know why. I'm smart. I watch basketball like we all do. He's SGA, MVP level talent. He's going to get those calls. Fine. Make it fair. Where's Jalen's calls? Where are the Knicks calls in general? From the line, we didn't even get to the line that much. And you could be arguing the fact we should have gotten there a lot more. We probably should have taken 30 free throws for all of the times I've seen the Oklahoma City Thunder playing that aggressive defense against New York. I think we saw that a lot of times, but no calls. But you know what? You can't always rely on the calls to get it done. Sometimes you have to rely on the adjustments that you make. Tom Thibodeau didn't make an adjustment. He made none. Maybe he ran some different plays, but that's it. He didn't run any type of different adjustments in terms of lineups. He didn't keep it out there long enough to make it an impact. Look at what we're looking at here, and look at the team stats. Look at the team stats and the difference. You want to know why the Knicks lost this game? I'll tell you why. Just keep your ear to this stat. Field goal percentage. Oklahoma City, 51.2% from the field. 51.9% from three. Conversely, the Knicks, 47.8% from the field, 28.1% from the field. 51.9 versus 28.1. That's the game right there. They shot better from three than they did from the field. Better from three than they did from the field. and not by much, because both they shot 51%. 51%, and they played that level of defense. And they were getting boards, and they were dominating inside by attacking inside the paint, getting open three-point shots, passing the ball, moving themselves, cutting. Sound familiar? It should, because that's what the Knicks do. And that's what the Knicks did in the second quarter, why we were leading Oklahoma City by 12 going into halftime. Because we were doing that. We were running those plays. It stopped. It stopped in the second half because we were tired. We were tired and we couldn't make a bucket. And look at the turnovers. 12 turnovers to 13 turnovers. We protected the ball. Rebounds, 42-41. Very close. When the rebounding is this close, you have to shoot the ball well. The Knicks didn't from three, and we got taken advantage of. And I know you guys always want to go to the full team stats because that tells you everything that you need to know about tonight's game. Everything that you need to know about why the Knicks lost this game and why they let that lead they had slip away. One stat more than any other jumps off the page when we're looking at here. When we're looking at the team stats here, one stat automatically should reach your eye and make you disappointed. It's the team assist. 22-27. 22-27. You're not beating Oklahoma City passing the ball 22 times. You're not. You're not beating the best team in the West passing the ball 22 times. Not as a team. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And those passes, a lot of them, if you combine Brunson and Towns, it might make up half of those passes. Might. Two players can't make up your team assists. It can't happen. You got to move the ball better. And I thought the Knicks were trying to move the ball better. They were trying to get others involved. But the problem was when we were doing that, sometimes we were not making those shots because, again, the defense of Oklahoma City, they play so well. Before we continue with the team stats, we got to go, with the team stats, we got to go to the chat because we have another super chat. Shout out to Corey Lee, another one, another super chat. I got to give you props for that. And he's a member as well, too. Shout out to my guy, man. $5 super chat. And he says, bro, the butcher is coming. Number 23, the New York Knicks. We had a weak closeout because of the captain. Again, for Corey, he's saying that it was Jalen Brunson that allowed the Knicks to close out a little bit weak. Now, listen, we can talk about Jalen. We can talk about the captain. I mean, look at what he had tonight. Jalen Brunson, tonight, 40 minutes. He had nothing from three, 9 of 23 from the field. Definitely bothered by the way they were playing him and the defense he was getting. 3 rebounds, 9 assists, and 17, 3 rebounds, 3 rebounds, 9 assists, and 22 points. My goodness, got my wires crossed there. So yes, again, Jalen Brunson, 40 minutes, 3 rebounds, 9 assists, and 22 points. But again, he had to shoot 23 times in order to get 22 points. He was bothered very heavily by the defense that they were throwing at him, and everybody has to acknowledge that. We all knew that. We all were watching the game, and that's something that we have to acknowledge. Jalen Brunson, he definitely was bothered. So I can't blame it only on the captain. You have to look at what the Knicks did as a team. I'm always and forever going to blame it on the bench because for me, it's the bench that caused the biggest issue here. We didn't utilize the bench, and that's why we paid the price at the end. We paid the price of losing the game, and that's exactly what happened. Breaking down the team stats a little bit more. Like I said with the team assists, you're not beating Oklahoma City with 22 team assists as a team. 22-27, not going to get it done. Another thing to take a look at here is the fast break. Another thing to take a look at here is the fast break points. Look at the Knicks and look at OKC. 10 fast break points to 23 by OKC. That is a lot. And you can tell why. They run on nearly every possession. If they can run, they're going to run. And oftentimes, if it's a long rebound or they're getting a steal or it's a turnover, they're pushing that ball up, they're attacking inside, and they're oftentimes converting. And all you have to do is look at their points in the paint. 54 points in the paint. Even though the Knicks had more points in the paint to them, 64 to 54, when you look at the three-pointers and the amount that they got in, it doesn't matter that we got 10 more points in the paint than them because they made 14 out of 27 three-pointers and the Knicks only made 9 out of 32. When you consider that and you factor that into it, that point in the paint difference is nearly nothing. Largest lead for the Knicks in this game was 14, and largest lead for the Oklahoma City was 10. Went back and forth. It was a powerhouse game. Excuse me, my goodness. I'm so hyped right now. I got to get a drink of water because I'm just losing my mind when it comes to breaking down this game and thinking how close we were to winning this game, but we could not get it done. Excuse me about that, guys. I had to drink a little bit of water and check my phone, make sure I didn't have any important messages from the family, but we're all good here. But like I was saying, though, guys, when you take a look at what the Knicks were doing here and what they were allowing inside the paint, it's very... Oh, I got a super chat here. I didn't see the super chat. My apologies, Corey. Let me get to you real quick. Then we'll go right back to the team stats. Corey Lee says, lead by example. Another $2 super chat. I appreciate you, Corey. You have no idea how much these donations mean to the show. So thank you so much for that. Lead by example. Corey, I agree. He is the captain. He does have to lead by example. But I mean, look at his stat line. He was trying to get others involved more than he tried to score. But at the end of the game, when he saw nobody else had it, nobody else was scoring, he saw what I saw. Everybody else was tired. What else could he do? The only thing left for him to do was to attack, go inside, and try to score. Try to put this Knicks team on his back. Now, was it the greatest move to do? No. Should he passed the ball a little bit more and got others involved a little bit more? Of course. But you can make that argument for a lot of players. I'm not going to kill Jalen Brunson because I thought he played a very good game tonight. Even though he didn't shoot the ball well because of the level of defense OKC was playing on him, I thought the way he was getting others involved was so good, and it's underrated. Rewatch the game and look at some of those very slick passes he was passing to OG, Precious Achiuwa, Karl-Anthony Towns, Josh Hart even, as they were cutting inside. It was just phenomenal. At a time there, it was back and forth. Jalen Brunson versus SGA. We never thought a battle like that was possible. Jalen's able to give you that. And again, Jalen was doing it, and OKC was doing the exact same thing. The only difference was it was working for OKC. It wasn't working for the Knicks. Not because of Jalen, because of the fact that we don't utilize a bench. Our bench is 3 players that barely play. That's the problem. That's why we lost, in my opinion. Tired legs. Because look at the first half. We could have replicated that if our starters were rested. I fully believe that. Going back to the shot chart here, though, because I want to break down the shot chart before I get to you guys in the chat and talk to you guys after the game and see what you guys have to say. Shot chart basically says it all. Look at the empty circles that we have for the Knicks right there. Look at all of those threes. Look at all of those threes. They're empty. All of those missed shots. You're not going to win like that. We passed the ball 22 times. We basically beat them by 1 in terms of rebounds. 51.9% is what they shot from 3. And look at the amount of misses that we have from 3. And look at what they did. Look at what they did in the paint. They basically replicated what we did to them in the paint, but then they improved it by adding 3-point shots. You're not beating Oklahoma City playing like that. It was a great game. I loved watching it. I loved watching that first half a lot more than watching that second half, if I'm being quite honest, because the level of defense You saw it slip a little bit, especially going into that fourth quarter. Tired legs. Mikal Bridges not able to get it done. And obviously, they stopped going to Mikal Bridges at certain points in that game. I'm not sure why, because he was one of the leading scorers. He was helping the Knicks stay in that game. He was helping the Knicks score. And Jalen Brunson was finding him at times. He wasn't double team at times either. So I thought the Knicks could have got him more involved and played more with him, played more through Mikal Bridges, because he was part of the offense that got him in the game, that got him the lead. Same with OG Anunoby. But Jalen and Karl-Anthony Towns, they tried to do it. Towns especially tried to be more aggressive in that third quarter, because in that first half, he really wasn't that aggressive. He really was not showing out. And then in that second half, he tried to turn it on a little bit more, got into some foul trouble, but stayed out there. In the fourth quarter, hit and miss, really. He did help the Knicks there. He did help score. He did help rebound a lot. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about Towns with. Before I jump to you guys and get your thoughts on the game, I got to give credit with Karl-Anthony Towns. Frustrated in that first half, but kept his head down and rebounded. Rebounded a lot. And still got himself a double-double in that second half by continuing to rebound. I think we take it for granted when we look at his stats and we realize he had 17 and 22. He had 22 rebounds. He had more rebounds than he had points. Now, obviously, you want him to be more aggressive, especially against Oklahoma City. We needed to see him. We needed to see that MVP level Cat against that MVP level SGA. We didn't see that. Credit to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They played Cat very well. Defense was impeccable. They frustrated him. Jalen Williams, J-Dub. What does he have in common with Dylan Brooks? Or even Boston Celtics guard Drew Holiday? A little bit shorter, but very strong, very athletic, and will bother anybody he's on. Bothered Towns. Bothered him a lot. That was the matchup that I watched all first half. And it was the exact same thing. Tried to get him. Lowered the shoulder. Bumped into him. Offensive foul after the challenge. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you bother Karl-Anthony Towns. And I think a lot of teams around the league understand, if you have a decent-sized defender, but he's a pretty good and pretty physical player, he might be able to take Towns inside in terms of stopping him or trying to shut him down. Trying to shut him down. Trying to shut him down. In those situations, I think what Towns needs to do is shoot over those players, not try to back into them, because I sometimes think he gets too involved in trying to back down that player, and then sometimes he'll lower the shoulder and cause a foul. Let's go back to the super chat. Well, you know what? Since that's basically the end of the show in regards to the post game, I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to go jumping right to the chat, get your guys' take on the game, and see what you guys have to say. And to start off that chat, we're going to go right to the super chat with John Gomez, giving us a $4.99 super chat. And that, again, helps the show and helps each and everything we're trying to do on this channel. And his super chat says, too many turnovers from Brunson in the fourth. Mikal should have, well, let's go to that super chat again. I actually want to filter that because he helped with that. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to filter the chat. Give me a second, guys. There we go. All right. John says, too many turnovers from Brunson in the fourth. Mikal should have got the ball more in the fourth. And Cat should have put up more threes. Karl-Anthony Towns was not as aggressive as I wanted him to be. I can't lie about that. Towns, I expected him. I wanted him to be a little bit more aggressive, and he just wasn't. But you can't blame Towns for not being as aggressive given the way the defense of Oklahoma City was playing him. They were very aggressive. They were sometimes fouling him with no calls. He was getting touched up. He was getting hit on the arms. No calls at all. We can't blame the refs for everything because a lot of times we were complaining, not focused in the game, and we were losing track of our defenders, and they were taking advantage of that as well too. Oklahoma City will take advantage of everything that you give them, but you have to make sure if you're giving them that advantage, you're taking back something that they're giving you as well too. A lot of times we could not respond back, and we saw that. Shout out to you, though, John. I really do appreciate your super chat, man. Let's go back to the regular chat that we have as well, too. Let me refilter that. All right, just refiltering the chat. Give me a second, guys. All right, here we go. All right, BDP. My guy says, shaking my head. We had this game. We really did. We really did, Paulie. We had this game. It was so close, but you got to look at the bench again. I'm going to scream this at the top of my lungs. I mean, this is no secret, right? Look at what we're talking about here. 8 minutes, 14 minutes for the bench. Your starters play 40-plus minutes each. You're not beating Oklahoma City like that. You can't do that. We were playing them so many minutes, they were tired. They were tired to close out the game. We all saw that. Everybody saw that. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, man. The Knicks had a chance to close out this game and win. But when push comes to shove, we didn't have enough. That's what it is. We didn't have enough. Carl Knight says, you can't put all the blame on the bench. Yes, it was bad, but our defense also led to our loss. We were up by 12 points coming out of the first half. Yes, but Carl, the reason you have to put it on the bench, I'm not saying the bench was the problem. It's the fact that we didn't utilize the bench, Carl. We played 40-plus minutes for the entire starting unit against OKC. They had 46 bench points to our 5. We have to look at the bench. Did you see this stat? Maybe you missed this stat. 19.9. 19.9, Carl. 19.9. We are last in the league by a margin. 24.9 is the worst other team. And then it's us. You have to talk about the bench. It was terrible. We had tired legs. You saw it, Carl. Yes, our defense slipped up a little bit, but it went back and forth in that first quarter, in that second quarter, even in that third quarter where the Knicks got the lead back up to 10. But in that fourth quarter, it shifted. Why? Oklahoma City got the momentum, and then the Knicks started to get tired. They started to feel the weight of the game, and they had no bench to utilize, nobody to put in, and nobody was even warmed up or ready because they didn't utilize anybody. Carl. 41, 31, 42, 40, 44. All right. I'm good. I got it off. Got off my chest. I'm good. Ski says, hear your argument, Troy, but no buts in these type of games. Sorry, it's just telling. No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying it's a but. I'm not butting anything. We take this loss. This is a loss. Another loss against another top team that we can't beat. Yes, it's a loss. I'm not saying that. Why did we lose, though? It's important to understand why. It's not like we were a great team in the first half and we stopped being that team in the second half. We were a very good team in the third quarter. OKC responded with 8 straight points. We responded back. We were up in that quarter by 10, by 8 to close it out. But then they responded with 6 points straight, making it a 4-point game, then a 2-point game, got the momentum back and forth. We couldn't make a bucket. They could make shots. They could make buckets. They were passing the ball. And that's what the game was right there. That's how they won. That's what we have to acknowledge. That's why we lost and they won. 22 team assists. 22 team assists against Oklahoma City. You're not beating them against them like that. We also shot 28% from 3, and they shot 51.3% from 3. So we're not guarding the perimeter as well, too. Always been a problem for a while now, but even more exposed against the good teams. And again, I've been talking about perimeter defense. I don't know. How long now? How long have I been talking about perimeter defense? For months. Even during this win streak, I've been talking about the defense. Getting killed, by the way. People telling me, oh, Troy, We won the game. Why are you talking about defense? This is why. This is why. Because games like this. That's why. Lupa says, do you have to agree with me, Troy? What did you say? Sorry, I didn't see your comment. Lupa says, Mikal brings you defense and offense. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And he did that tonight. I mean, look at his stats. If you look at his stats for tonight, Mikal Bridges played 41 minutes. It was 10 of 19 from the field. So, again, another efficient game for Mikal. 4 of 11 from 3. Has to do a little bit better there. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and had 24 points. Absolutely did a great job on SGA. I already mentioned it. One of my favorite plays from tonight's game, which I loved, was the double block sequence. 1 block on SGA from Mikal Bridges, and then going back down again, another block by Josh Hart. Very good defense. Mikal Bridges was clutch there, and I liked his offense as well, too. But very good question there. Mike Saunders says, I haven't watched post-game interviews in years. Does the Knicks media ask Thibs about his lack of interest in playing the bench? I watched a little bit of the post-game before I came on. I think they mentioned why he didn't play his bench as much, and I think his answer, if I'm not mistaken, was that you have to read the game. You have to read the game and see what it gives you. So that's what he was saying for the entire game. What does that mean? What does that amount to? I mean, your guess is as good as mine, honestly. I don't know what that means, because if I'm reading the game, I'm seeing a tired team, and I'm thinking I need to play the bench. It's criminal. It's absolutely criminal that our bench didn't see at least 20 minutes tonight, or at least 17 minutes, 18 minutes, so our starters could get more rest. It's about the rest. We need more rest. Knicks 100 GM says, we always got to blame refs or tired legs or the hot dog man gave us no mustard, etc. It's always something. Knicks GM, are you going to tell me the bench wasn't an issue? Did we not watch the same fourth quarter? They had tired legs. They could not respond, could not keep up with OKC, who knew they were tired and were attacking them at each and every play. Look at the fourth quarter. Look at how they defended the Knicks and how they played them. Were they not aggressive? Did they not attack them at each and every play? I remember the fourth quarter, and all I remember is SGA back and forth, up and down the court, and then passing the ball or attacking inside and getting to the line. Am I wrong? Did I watch a different fourth quarter than anybody else? Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yes, the Knicks didn't play defense. Of course that's a problem, but we didn't utilize our bench. Can we talk about why the game switched? It was momentum shifting. They had a great momentum shifter because of J-Dub and his dunk. We couldn't respond to that. Not only because of our defense, but because we had tired legs. Every starter playing 40-plus minutes. We have a back-to-back we're going to play tomorrow. And we're doing this against OKC. They play physical. It's not that like they let you go to the basket. They put a body on you, sometimes 2 bodies on you. And you're seeing that action for 40-plus minutes. You're telling me that's not going to take a toll? You're telling me that's not going to get you tired or affect your play? We're talking about 2 different games. Rewatch the game if you think I'm lying. I was so locked in on that fourth. It's all I could see. I didn't hear anything else, couldn't see anything else. It was just the game and me. And I know what I saw. And I wish I could say that it was a number of other reasons, and maybe we can talk about a couple other factors. I'm not saying tired legs in the bench are the only issue. I already acknowledged the defense, but there are other things that came to play here that were way more important and got exposed. The Knicks bench got exposed. They scored 5 points, my guy. 5 points to 46. 46. Knicks 100. We're not tired. We're not tired. We're not tired. Is this graphic coming up on screen? Everybody seeing this? Can I get thumbs up or something? Is anybody seeing this? Is my voice audible? 41 for Mikal, 43 for Anunoby, 42 for Towns, 40 for Brunson, 44 for Hart. What? They weren't tired? Okay. This is normal, right? This is walk out of bed, play 44 minutes. All right. I'm not tired. All right. Ski says, nah, no excuses for the lack of JB missing and wasting possessions and good stops on the other side, Troy. Listen, you're telling me about a couple of 3 different things that happened just now. You telling me to stop thinking about all 3 of those things? Don't worry about tired legs, the defense, the fact that we didn't play the bench, the fact that the starters play 40-plus minutes. That's a lot of things to not consider. We got to talk about something. I'm not saying don't take the L. You take the L, but you talk about why you got the L. That's also important, because if you don't understand why you got the L, guess what? You're doomed to repeat it. It's going to happen again. Shout out to my guy, Top Bunk, who's in the chat. Shout out to Nelly Nell, a member as well, too. Says, salute Troy, a tough loss tonight. We have to play better down the stretch. We need a bench ASAP. I'm just saying. If you watch tonight, you know we need a bench. You know we need a bench. You can't tell me we don't need a bench or a bench that we're going to play. You can't tell me that after watching this game. You can't. You cannot. Mike Saunders says, Kolek is better than Payne. He needs to replace him. Whether he's better than Payne is irrelevant to me. He should have played tonight. Should have got minutes right along Payne. If you're not going to play Payne and you didn't put Kolek in Westchester, why did you keep him here? McBride's not playing. Play your bench. Play your bench. Play your bench. I don't know what else you want me to say. I don't know how else I got to convince you guys that the bench needs to be played more. I don't understand. Did we watch the same game? I'm not blaming it. Again, we got to make it clear. I am not blaming it only on the bench. There are a number of factors. I've talked about a number of factors, but one of the main reasons we lost was because we did not play the bench. Our players were tired because we did not utilize the bench. Are we all going to just bypass that? We're not going to acknowledge the fact that that happened? Did I not go over the numbers enough? Play your bench. Knicks 100 says, but when we didn't play our bench versus the Wizards, it was the Wizards, bro. And it was the Wizards that we had to go OT against. Jalen had to drop 55 for us to beat the Wizards. The Wizards, the worst team in the league. You can't give me that. Don't give me that game. If anything, I should give you that game. We were barely able to beat the Wizards, not only because we didn't play a lot of defense, it's also because we didn't utilize our bench. We didn't play our bench a lot either. That was something else I said even during that post game. I mentioned it during that game. We could go back and forth here. You're not going to reconvince me. I saw what I saw, and not only did I have the eye test, the numbers back it up. The numbers back it up. Not only here, but here. NBA, fewest bench points per game, 19.9. The Knicks. The Lakers have 24.8. The Lakers have 24.8, and the Knicks have 19.9. What? Excuse me. 19.9. What? Excuse me. 19.9. And we don't have a bench problem? The stats would say we have a bench problem. OKC scored 46. We scored 5. We don't have a bench problem? The stats would say we have a bench problem. Oh my goodness. Knicks, I'm not doing it with you. I'm not doing it with you, Knicks 100. I am not doing it with you tonight. Agree to disagree. I'm done with that. I'm not hearing that. Not at all. You're not going to tell me that the bench not being utilized was not a factor in why we lost this game. You out of your mind. No. Nelly Nell says, if we crash out during the playoffs because of tired legs, I might start the Fire Thibs campaign myself. Listen, man, I'm not the only one who sees it. A lot of other people in this community have seen what I've seen as well, too. And it's not one game. You think I would call it out only one game? If I don't see a pattern, I'm not going to mention anything. We're seeing a pattern of not utilizing the game. Mike Saunders says, bro, do you know that OKC plays 10 deep? They had 46 points. Fresh legs. They were able to rest SGA almost all of the second quarter. He barely didn't score. Excuse me. He barely didn't score in the second quarter because he didn't play a lot. He was resting. And then he had halftime. What a luxury it is having a bench you trust. Who scored all those points in the fourth quarter on us? Was it not a player off their bench? Was it not Aaron Wiggins? Did you bet money that Aaron Wiggins was going to do that to us? Did you have it on your card? Because I didn't. Wiggins. Not even the real one. The one who's on the bench. Unreal, man. Unreal. SF Wisdom says, Knicks 100 is bugging. I'm just saying, man. Listen, bro, I love you. You're one of my longtime followers as well, too, on this channel, so I appreciate you. I know we go back and forth. I really do like that, and I appreciate that. But if you're not going to acknowledge that this bench is a problem, then we are watching two different games, my good sir, because that does not exist right now. You cannot watch this game and come out of it thinking that we do not have a problem with the bench. That's the number one thing once the game ended that I thought. While we were playing, I was thinking it. You have to acknowledge it. Mike Saunders says, Thibs made Bogdanovich and Burke into G League players last season. Thibs doesn't play his bench. Well, you know what? He needs to. He needs to. Okay, Mike? He needs to play the bench. We have evidence tonight as to why he needs to. Because against the top teams in the league, you can't play your starters and think your starters are going to get you out of it. You can't. You cannot. You can't. It's not going to work. You cannot expect your starters to dig you out of a hole like this when they're playing 40-plus minutes. It's not going to happen. You need to trust your bench. Jock Carter says, I'm a plumber and I have a handy wrench. I work hard as a plumber. No regret. Sometimes I wonder, where is the Knicks bench? I don't know. I don't even I know where it is, actually. It's on the bench not being utilized. You saw all the DMPs, right? Do we see all the DMPs? DMP for Jericho Sims. DMP for Tyler Kolek. We could call some players up from the G League that will likely have a great impact on this team. Why are we not playing a 10-man rotation? Why are we not doing that? Are we allergic to a 10-man rotation? Because we should at least be playing 9. At least 9 straight, given the players that we have. Kolek should have gotten some burn tonight. That would have given Jalen Brunson a lot more rest and definitely would have still given you the playmaking. You wanted playmaking and Jalen Brunson to rest? Put Tyler Kolek in the game. How did he not get even 10 minutes? 10 minutes. You can't give him 10? 10 minutes? He won the MVP of the G League Showcase and he can't get 10 minutes. Then what's the point of winning the showcase? What's the point of being MVP of that showcase if it doesn't at least give you 10 minutes on the court? All right. Soul Snatcher says, trade rookies for stronger bench. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'd rather them not do that. I would rather them trade a player that we're not utilizing. Jericho Sims, maybe Mitchell Robinson. Listen, if it's going to get Tom Thibodeau, a player that he trusts off the bench to use, trade Sims, trade Robinson. But I'm not trading Achua. I'm not trading Kolek. You're out of your mind if you think I am trading any of our rookies. We're not going to be drafting over the next few years. And the rookies we have this year, Pacome, Hukporti, and Kolek, they all look like gems right now. Maybe some of them a little bit rougher than others. But because of the way they look, you think I'm going to get rid of them? You think I'm going to let them go? I'm not letting any of our rookies go. Not for nothing right now. And I'm not letting Achua go right now. We have the talent that we need to compete. We just need to play it. We just need to utilize it. If you go out there and you flip Robinson and not Achua, but you flip Robinson and you flip Sims and these second-round picks and that protected Washington Wizards first-round pick for an impactful player, I'm good with it. But don't ruin the chemistry we already built. We have Achua who just came back, and his chemistry with this team is already good, and it could get better. And he already knows how to play under Tom Thibodeau. Why would I ruin that? Why would I take away a player that Tom Thibodeau trusts for a player that I have no idea how he's going to look under Thibs and if Thibs will even utilize him? We have to acknowledge that. These are parts of the game that we have to mention. Excuse me. D. Grant says no other team is going to take Mitch. He has no trade value. You're right, but if I'm not mistaken, there are reports out there already indicating that teams have already done their due diligence on Mitch, have called the Knicks about him, and wondered about his health, wonder about where he is going to be in terms of his health status. If they're doing that, I mean, somebody's interested in him. I don't know who, but somebody got to be. Video coming out about that at some point in time. Not sure if it's going to be on Sunday or tomorrow, because I do have to drop another video about the Knicks trade targets. We have a very good update. We have another good update there as well, too. And it's about a player in Detroit. Not going to spoil anything. Another video coming out about that tomorrow, so definitely stay tuned. Nelly Nell says, Thibs will be forced to play the Rooks in year 2, so we'll see what happens then. I definitely agree with that. Knicks 100 says 10 teams out of the West would take Mitch in a heartbeat. All the true centers are out West. I mean, what teams, though? And what's the trade package? Because I'm not just going to give him up for nothing. If I'm giving Mitch up, I need a wing who's tall or a center back. I'm just not going to give up Mitchell Robinson for anything. You need to get a player back, an impactful player. Either he's going to score, defend, or do a little bit of both. But I need that player. And if he's experienced and a vet, probably even more so, I would like him on this team. For one main reason, not really for me, for Thibs. After what I saw tonight, get me a player with more experience, because I think that's what Tom Thibodeau would actually play. We've seen it enough times now to understand that. Yuri says, big-time wake-up call. Can't disagree with you there. OKC, the way we've lost to them, I'm awake. And now, as I'm awake, I see it very loud and clear. The bench. The bench. The bench. That's your issue. That's your issue. Soul Snatcher says, trade rookies, Mitch and Achua for real NBA players on the bench. Name one of those players. Name one of those players. Matter of fact, while you do that, I'm going to put up the players we have on the team that he didn't play, and you tell me who he would play over. Go ahead. Really good exercise. Go ahead. Take your time. Trust me. It's not like I'm taking a shot or anything while this image is up between takes here. What player? I'm waiting. What player would magically come to the Knicks on the bench that Tom Thibodeau would love to play? What player is that? And how are you getting them? With the Chua, Robinson, some of these rookies, and some of these picks. I'd love to know. Because in my opinion, I don't think you're getting anything like that. Nothing that you would think would be available. Let's see here. Snow Snatcher says, Kolek and Pacome, not NBA ready. Trade them, Troy. Are you kidding me? Anybody in the chat right now, please let me know. Would you want the Knicks to trade Kolek for an impactful player from another team right now? Or would you rather hold on to him? Let me know in the chat. If you're watching the playback, let me know in the comments. Leave a comment below and let me know. We're going to stop the post game in about, I want to say, 5 or so minutes. Only because, listen, I love talking to you guys. I love going back and forth with you guys. But honestly, I have to end it because we're getting late over here. It's getting late. I got to edit a video. We got other things that we need to do. So I don't want to leave, but we'll get to we'll get to a couple more comments before I do end the show today. So I appreciate you. But let's see what a couple people are saying here regarding trading Kolek. Yuri says, oh, snap, you really pissed off Troy. Yeah, I am a little bit mad with that. I'm sorry, man. I don't like trading the rookies. It don't make sense to me. Let's see. WebX says, no, thumbs down. Nelly Nell says, off that K2. So I'm guessing that's a no. If they trade any rookies, I'm quitting on the Knicks. So that's a no. D. Grant says, an impactful player I would trade for Kolek. That doesn't exist, though. I'm telling you now. And you have to match salary right now. Salary for salary. Kolek makes nothing. I don't know who you would trade him for. Ja says, I'd be damned if we trade Kolek. So would I. So would I. The Knicks are not trading Kolek. Newsflash, spoiler alert, Tom Thibodeau recently, and this is quoting Thibs. I'm quoting Thibs. I love that kid. He loves him. He's not going to be traded. You can wish for it. You can hope for it. It's not going to happen. You want an impactful player? The only asset you have to look at is Robinson, Sims, those protected picks, or really protected pick, Washington pick, and those second rounders. Other than that, Knicks are not giving up anything else. And if that's not getting you an impactful player that the Knicks like, they're just going to wait for Robinson to return. Once he's healthy, they're going to roll that out because that makes more sense for them right now. Kolek will be a mover. Soul Snatcher says Kolek is not a needle mover. And he has some laughing emojis. Kolek will be a needle mover. Mark my words. Clip this. Kolek will be a needle mover. And he'll be a significant piece off the bench for New York moving forward. If not this season, then definitely next season. Mark my words. Mark my words on that. D. Grant says, I like Pacome. You can give him more time. I think he can be a three-point specialist. He might be a two-way specialist. His influence right now on the team is Mikal Bridges. And we see how good his two-way play is. And I think you can expect the same level of play out of Pacome Dadier as well, too. He's developing in that way. And you got to love to see that. Okay, one more comment here. We're going to go one more comment. One more. Even though we got a lot of people in the chat. I hate leaving. We have so many people in the chat. I love going back and forth with you guys. But one more comment, then we're going to end. Let's see. Okay, Knicks 100 leaves a comment. And you know what? This is perfect. We've disagreed all night, haven't we? But finally, he gives a comment that we all can agree with. And it's perfect to end the show with. Kolek is as pure a basketball player as you're going to find, according to Knicks 100, a GM. First of all, shout out to you, my guy. I love going back and forth with you because honestly, like I said, I don't want everybody to agree with me. You're not supposed to agree with me and every single one of my take. I like nuance. I like people giving me their take. But as you saw, sometimes we can disagree, but sometimes we can agree. Like you said, in terms of a pure basketball player, Tyler Kolek, there's almost nobody better in terms of rookies right now that the Knicks have. He's NBA ready in terms of his offense and the way he can play make. The only thing he needs some work on, and honestly, it's a little bit of work because his defense has improved, but it is his defense. It does need to get a little bit better. He needs to get a little bit stronger so he can not only stay in front of his player and in front of his defender, but also have enough strength to stop that player, take the ball and move it up court. I think you're going to see him hit the gym a lot more in the offseason. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get that NBA body. And once that happens, mark my words, Kolek will be an impactful player on this team off the bench. There is no way I am trading him. Let me make this clear, actually, in case it's not crystal clear at this point. I would not trade Tyler Kolek out of all the rookies we have on this roster. That includes Pacome Dadier and Ariel Hukporti. The belief I have in this kid is second to none. I think in a few years, you're going to see why I said he was the steal of this year's draft. You're going to see exactly why, because he's going to show you why with his play. Wish we saw him play tonight, but that didn't happen. If you come away from this game thinking anything else, have it be the following. Great game, competitive game, went back and forth. We saw the Knicks and what they can do against a tested Oklahoma City team, the best team in the West. But when push came to shove, the Knicks could not close them out. A lot of factors to why the Knicks lost this game. We could look at the defense. We could look at the lack of scoring. Too much isolation play in the fourth. Lack of assist. 22 team assists. But in my opinion, the main reason New York came into this game against Oklahoma City and dropped this game was because of the way they dropped that fourth quarter. The momentum, the way it shifted, the way they could not come back into the game. They could not respond back to the game. Tired legs, which all equals to not utilizing your bench. We have a bench that's just never going to be played. They're going to be wasted there, not given significant time, even when clearly they need to play significant time. If the Knicks can fix their bench issues and rest their starters just a little bit more, we'll have a team that is absolutely dangerous. But if we're playing our starters continuously 40-plus minutes a night, not only are we going to tire them out, we're going to increase their risk for injury. And I do not want to see that happen. Not at all. We saw enough of injury last year. We saw enough of injuries last year. I do not want to see a repeat of that into this season because that is not going to help us. Injuries prevent us from reaching our goal. The goal is the NBA Finals. We need to stay healthy in order to reach that. But what about you guys? What did you think about tonight's game? What did you like about tonight's game? What did you not like about tonight's game? What was something about tonight's game that I didn't speak about? Let me know in the comments section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.